All right, hello everyone. Thank you for being with us today for our session. My name is Erin. I'm an IACAC member in Carbondale, Illinois, just here to get the meeting started and facilitate things. So just a reminder for all of the participants today, you are muted, your camera is off, but you do have the ability to ask questions using the Q&A button that you can type your questions in for our panelists. You can sign up for more sessions at the IACAC.org website, so we encourage you to take advantage of the many sessions being offered. And if there are sessions you're missing or can't attend, all sessions are being recorded and posted to that website as well. All right, thank you, and I'll let our guests take it away.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Erin. I greatly appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. So hi, my name is Sean Witten, and I am with Paul Quinn College. And the session itself is, if you are in the right spot, is if you don't know, now you know, historically Black colleges and universities. So certainly we want to talk broadly a little bit about, what that is, who they are, what we are, and what that means to attend an HBCU in that context as well. So certainly we're going to address that, and I'll start in terms of understanding a little bit more of HBCUs, and then I'll go into Paul Quinn College, who I'm representing. And then my fantastic colleague, Ashley Connor, will go in and speak a little bit more about Shaw once I've gone through our side of things. And unfortunately, it looks like our colleague from Alabama A&M was unable to join us at this time. And if they were to chime in here towards the end, we would have a little bit of time available for them in that context as well. But to get us started, I'm going to share my screen so that you guys could see a little bit of what I'm talking about at the same time. So, never mind my notes. There we go. Fantastic. Okay. So when it comes into the history and what defining historically Black colleges and universities, it's become one of these pieces from their inception. HBCUs have served as proving grounds for restoring our nation's disenfranchisement of Black and brown people from everyday rights and responsibilities in American life. The very first HBCU that came about was Cheney University in Pennsylvania, and it was founded in 1837. And since then, the number of HBCUs have increased since the abolition of slavery itself. HBCUs were initially established to provide a little bit more of a scaffolded instruction to free Black people. In 1890, the Second Morrill Act required states that had higher education to offer land grants to build colleges and universities specifically for Black students. And today there are more than 100 public and private HBCUs offering Black students access to opportunities that are not otherwise available. In addition to not just offering that opportunity, HBCUs are now producing some of the enormity and the numbers for our Black professionals. And this comes into, those fields that you think of for careers directly. This is the doctors, the engineers, lawyers, and professors. HBCUs are preeminent producers and incubators of those careers. And they do this with a civically engaged student body. Students who have led fights for civil rights and social justice. For example, you might know some of the alumna or alumnus that have come out of some HBCUs, such as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ella Baker, who attended Shaw University, Bayard Rustin, who was the organizer for the March on Washington. Or you might have heard in your history, as well as from some students from HBCUs who stood up for civil rights in bus boycotts in Florida and Alabama, or the sit-ins in North Carolina. This is what an HBCU is. A group or 100 or plus colleges that are serving Black and brown students for opportunities that they otherwise would not have, and embedding in them and instilling in them this inspiration to see their potential. So with that, I'd like to engage a little bit more when it comes into Paul Quinn College and how we serve as an HBCU and urban work college. So we're the oldest HBCU in Texas and the oldest west of the Mississippi. We used to be located in Austin, Texas. We started in 1872. We relocated to Waco. And at that time, we were part of the city's history, and we were called the Athens of the Brazos. And it was founded at that time by the African Methodist Episcopalian Church, calling it the School of Education for Negro Youth in Austin. And it was a means for providing education to former slaves and their children. We acted as an academic alternative for Black students excluded from other institutions of higher education pre the Civil Rights era. Early on in our college, we focused primarily on vocational training and offered few courses in the liberal arts themselves. We carried and have carried that tradition and really amplified that tradition now in providing a quality, faith-based, liberal arts-inspired education. And we do that now by addressing academic, social, and Christian development of all of our students. And we do that in that innovative model of urban higher education, focusing in on academic rigor, experiential learning, and entrepreneurship. We've been able to become something greater than our founding. Under the leadership of our president, Dr. Michael Sorrell, we've become one of the most innovative, inspiring small colleges in America. Our goal is to provide justice as an inspiration. We want to end generational poverty and offer an opportunity for students to transform ability into action and potential into achievement. We do this by encouraging all of our students to embrace the ideals of disciplined work, servant leadership, and initiative in a preparation for life of financial freedom, community engagement, and outstanding character. That's why in 2015, we adopted a new financial model or structure called the New Urban College Model. It allowed us the opportunity to give students the ability to graduate with $10,000 of student loan debt, where the national average is around $25,000 to $30,000 now. Our New Urban College Model allows Paul Quinn the distinction as an urban work college. There are currently only 8 work colleges in the nation. We are the 9th federally funded college in the United States and the first minority serving institution in the Work College Consortium and the first one in Texas. The Work College is designed to provide students with meaningful work opportunities that allow you to better serve the Quinnite community, but also in developing the necessary skills, habits, and experiences to be competitive in the 21st century job market. And you're doing that by practicing economic leadership by actively contributing towards the cost of your education. This means that you'll have a job either on campus or working with one of our corporate partners like AT&T, JP Morgan Chase, NTT Data, or FedEx. We do this by instilling this engagement with you in our institutional ethos. And that ethos is pretty simple. It's we over me. It's this idea that we are forged through times of struggle and strife, and that our students make the world a better place by centering one thing: the needs of the community supersede the wants of the individual. It's that servant leadership, this selfless service to others, enriching your life by enriching others' lives as well. Now, these are the only L's that you're going to come across when you attend Paul Quinn, okay? Otherwise, it's about winning, ensuring that you meet that excellence. Ultimately, your reality-based liberal arts inspired education is our way toward an innovative, inclusive approach to education that puts your future at the core of the curriculum. While you may study in business, health and wellness, liberal arts, religious studies, or legal studies, for example, you're developing in a core curriculum that spans out into those majors through these 4 principles: that you leave places better than you found them, that you lead from wherever you are, that you live a life that matters, and you love something greater than yourself. And we do that in this vibrant and engaging space as well. We lift up our students to and through our campus by thriving by working on and in our SEAL program, our Student Affairs program of civic engagement, entrepreneurship, and leadership, where you can be engaged in the Divine 9 sororities and fraternities. You could be taking on an urban research initiative where you might focus on the assessment of pollution in neighborhoods of Dallas, might focusing in on economic growth and development, political and cultural determinants for different policies. The big thing is that you are engaged. The big thing that you also might recognize about Paul Quinn is our We Over Me farm. It was formerly our football field. Dr. Michael Sorrell got rid of that field and wanted an engagement for work, where our students would be able to lift themselves up and work for our community as well. So every produce that comes out of our farm is able to go back into the community, and it's also shipped to not only our area at large, but is shipped to the cooks and chefs that work with the Dallas Cowboys. And so our community is also something that we try to support and engage within our campus life as well. Beyond just engaging with the campus life and engagement when it comes into student affairs or student life, we do offer athletics as well. We are NAIA at our level, and so we do offer athletic scholarships in that context. So NAIA Division I, competing in the Red River Athletics Conference, as well as the United States Collegiate Athletic Association Division I. The programs that we have include men's and women's basketball, cross country and track and field, soccer, and volleyball. Some of the women on our women's soccer team have been able to play at some of the national stage. And so their engagement is something that isn't just at the NAIA level, it's that they are competing with others on a somewhat global scale in some contexts. And so if you're looking to compete at the athletics level for NAIA or with Paul Quinn, it is something in which you would engage with our staff in admissions in addition to our athletics liaisons. We are continuing to grow as well. So Paul Quinn isn't just stagnant. We are an alive and well, a vibrant community that's never resting on our laurels, but always striving towards that excellence. So we have that continued campus renovations and expansions that allow us to do more. The Dallas Mavericks donated a state-of-the-art outdoor basketball court, that picture that you see in the middle. We've just been able to come forward and really put together the Trammell Crow Living and Learning Center, where we'll have a new residence hall space, classrooms, dance studio, and a competitive gym. And we've been able to renovate the library and student unions. But beyond just this introduction of Paul Quinn and what we have to offer for you as you come into the college sphere, I also want to introduce you to our enrollment management team. As you know, Sean is in that context, and I'm our director of enrollment management, helping you through this process. Taylor Henley is a part of our staff as well, and she is an alumna, and so she'll be able to help you become a part of the Quinnite Nation. And so when I noted a little bit more about those L's when it comes into that piece, if you want to win, come to Paul Quinn. The only L's you'll have are the 4 L's of servant leadership. I'll pass it along to my colleague, Ashley, to continue into her presentation now.
Guess I should unmute before I start talking. But good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sean. My name is Ashley Connor. I am the Associate Director of Admissions and Recruitment for the university. I am representing Shaw University, located in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. So I'm going to start out by sharing my screen with a short video to give you kind of an overview of the university, and then I will start into our presentation of with giving you some more information about Shaw University.
Welcome to Shaw University, a place where history is made, leaders emerge, and transformation begins. Founded in 1865, we were the first HBCU in the Southern United States. Our vibrant campus is a unique living and learning community. We are located in the heart of downtown Raleigh and a short drive from Research Triangle Park, the largest technology research park in the country. We are a place where opportunity surrounds you. IBM, GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals, Duke Energy are just 3 of the many well-known companies that offer internships and hire our graduates. Within walking distance of campus, you can attend networking events or take advantage of internships. You can even launch your own business at Shaw University's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. At Shaw University, you will learn from dedicated professors and meet lifelong friends. You can take part in over 30 different academic and service organizations. Get involved in Greek life, sports, or the Platinum Sound Shaw University's notable marching band. From its start as the first historically Black university in the Southern United States to the vibrant campus we are today, Shaw University is the right place to grow, learn, and explore.
All right, so okay, so I'm going to stop this screen share. There we go. And I will bring up my presentation for you guys. The computer's not working right. Okay. All right, so I am going to skip through some of these slides just to let you know. So if it looks like I'm just moving fast, it's just skipping through. But I do want to share this information with you guys. So as you heard in the video, Shaw University is the oldest HBCU in the Southern United States. We were founded in 1865. We are currently educating more than 1,300 students at our university for our undergraduate programs. Just a little overview, we were founded by Dr. Henry Martin Tupper on December 1st, 1865. We are currently under the leadership of Dr. Paulette Dillard. As you heard in the video, there were a lot of firsts. We take pride in being one of the oldest historically Black colleges and universities within the United States. But with those firsts, some of them are, we were the first college in the nation to offer a 4-year medical program. We were the first historically Black college in the nation to open its doors to women. And we were the first historically Black college within North Carolina to receive an A rating from the from the State Department of Public Instruction. Some of our admission requirements for students, we are looking for students to have at least a 2.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale, and you'll see some of the core requirements that are required. We can definitely go more deep into that if anyone has any questions as far as applying to the university. But as a freshman and or transfer student, we are looking for you to have at least a 2.0 GPA. So our student profile, most of our students, of course, come from within the state of North Carolina, but about 48% of those students come from other states and countries. You'll see some of our top states of recruitment are North Carolina, California, Virginia, South Carolina, Maryland, DC, New Jersey, Georgia, New York, and Florida. We do have currently enrolled about 85 international students representing various countries on our campus. Some of those big ones will be Bahamas, Africa, Spain. We have quite a few students that are represented throughout our campus. So everyone always talks about scholarships, all that great stuff. We actually wanted to be able to provide some additional guidance to our students. Being a private university within North Carolina, we are competing with 11 other HBCUs within this state. Most are state institutions where the tuition is almost half the cost of ours. So what we've done is created a model for students that will that go anywhere from our lowest GPA range that students are accepted all the way up into our Founders Grant, which will cover the total cost of tuition. So every student that qualifies for admissions into our university also will receive some type of dollar in funding to assist them with the total cost of tuition to attend the university. So as you'll see, those ranges go from $3,500 all the way up to total cost of tuition, which is $24,998. So as I explained, we are a private institution, so there is only one tuition for all students, whether they're coming from in the state of North Carolina or outside of the state. So you have the opportunity to actually get monies that will cover your cost of tuition with the higher GPAs, where you or your parents are not having to come out of pocket with anything. But we did want to make it where we are trying to help students with the paying for college, because we all know that it's not It's not easy, it's not cheap, it costs, it's going to require a little bit of moving some funds around with parents and things of that nature. So we always want to make sure that we're providing any resources that we can with the university. So here you'll see some of our academic programs that we offer. Our university is split into 2 different schools. We have our School of Business, and then we have our School of, Science and Technology. And those are top majors that we offer at the university are going to be our business department, which has a concentration in accounting and or management. Our education departments, where you can major in early childhood development, elementary education, and birth through kindergarten education. Our other major that's really popular on our campus is our exercise science program, with a concentration in either fitness and wellness or pre-athletic training. As you saw in the video, we are located right in the heart of downtown Raleigh. The great thing about that is there are 5 other institutions within the city of Raleigh that are pretty much within a walking or a 5-minute drive of campus. So with that, we have created a articulation agreement with all of those institutions within Raleigh. So our students are able to take courses at any of those institutions at no additional cost to them. So let's say you are a biology major and there is a course that you are really interested in taking that we may not offer here at the university. If you're looking at doing a double major in chemistry, we don't offer chemistry, but with that, you can go right over to NC State, which is less than 5 minutes away from here, and take your courses to obtain a minor and or just take classes that the university does not offer, as long as you have your full-time schedule at the university. The only thing that we ask is that students have transportation to and from those schools. You do have to adhere to whatever their class registration policies are and things of that nature, but we do have that agreement with North Carolina State University, William Peace University, Meredith University for the ladies, St. Aug University, which is another HBCU, and Wake Tech Community College, which is one of the largest community colleges within the state of North Carolina. So as we talk about some general information about the university, as I stated previously, we currently have a little over 1,300 students in our enrolled in our undergraduate programs, with a faculty to student ratio of 17:1. Our university is affiliated with the CIAA Athletic Conference, NCAA Division II. Our breakdown for female to male is 57% female and 43% male. Our athletic programs that we offer, women's sports, we offer softball, bowling, tennis, cross country, outdoor track and field, soccer, and volleyball. And then our men's sports, we offer football, basketball, soccer, cross country, and tennis. All of those sports do offer athletic scholarships, so you are able to get in contact with the head coach or the recruiting coordinator for the sport of your interest and be able to obtain scholarships and or be a walk-on to those sports. Some brief background about our history with our sports team. We have over 60 CIAA conference championships, 7 NCAA regional championships, and 1 NCAA national championship with our women's basketball team. Our applications are open for the spring 2021 and the fall 2021 academic school year. We do provide fee waivers. If any students are interested in applying or want some more information, I will post our contact information so that you can feel free to reach out to us. And I'm gonna scroll up. Our admissions department, we are a smaller institution. So we are a team of 3, myself, the associate director, and we have Mr. Ryan Wright, who is actually an alum of the university. He graduated class of 2019. He worked in our office as a work study student all 4 years as a student ambassador and was the student government president his freshman year, which led him to graduating and becoming an admissions counselor and recruiter for the university. We also have Mr. William Wright, also known as Trey Wright, who is an admissions counselor with us, and this is going on his 2nd year. Our contact information is there for you. We are always willing and welcoming all of our students to come and become a part of the Shaw Bear family. We have a rich history, and we are ready to continue to educate and provide the opportunity for students to get their post-secondary education and allow them the opportunity to be successful global leaders within this society. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ashley. I think from here, we would have had the opportunity to hear from Alabama A&M, but now this is a great opportunity for those of you who may have some questions, generally speaking, on historically Black colleges and universities, or if you have questions directed towards any interest at Shaw, or any more interest as it relates to Paul Quinn College. I'll give it a minute here and let you guys type in any questions that you might have in the Q&A. It's just a little box over to the right-hand side, I believe. So Ashley, I'm gonna pose a couple of these questions to you first, and I'll certainly answer myself. But at Shaw, does behavior play a factor in your acceptance? Oh, you're on mute.
Forgot I was on mute.
No, you're good.
All day. So we do, a part of our application, there are 6 security questions that we ask all of our students. So based on the questions that are included in that application, we will then determine whether or not a student will need to provide a criminal history report. So once you've completed the application, within 2 weeks, we will get back with you and notify you if we are requesting a copy of your criminal history report, which will then go to our chief of police on campus, and he will provide pretty much a yes or no on whether or not we will be able to accept you. It's all on a case-by-case basis, so I hate to say yes, but we do, for the sake of protecting our students and our faculty and staff, we do want to make sure that the students that we are bringing to campus do not pose any harm or anything to our community or in our campus.
I think it'd be too easy to just say ditto to everything Ashley just noted, but it is something where, it's a factor of many factors that come into play. So, we certainly ask the question on our application, if you have had any disciplinary history in that context. And then we review that history just to understand a little bit more of your background and the story that come with it. Because we know that disciplinary history can be something that might have been agitated. So we certainly want to understand that it's completely truthful and it's honest, and we want to hear your side before we make any decision that comes into play. We have a couple more questions rolling in here, Ashley. So the next one is, what is the graduation rate for your school?
Our current 4-year graduation rate is about 25%. So it's one of those questions where it's like, it's kind of hard to answer. It's a lot of factors that play into a graduation rate. So say for instance, a student comes in, they transfer out, they have to leave because of medical reasons, personal reasons, whatever the case may be, that will always affect a student. So my advice to students who focus on so much on graduation rates is not to really focus on the university's overall graduation rate, because you can be the change for that university to excel from freshman year to your senior year and graduating and moving forward. So there's a lot of different factors that play into graduation rates that we can say, we've graduated this many students in this many years, but we all know things happen. Students have to go home, students have to transfer out. There's a lot of different factors that play in. So I always tell students not to say that it's not a big thing, because you definitely want to make sure that the university you're looking at and attending is going to get you to where you need to go, but don't necessarily make that a determining factor about attending a university, because there's a lot of different outliers that play into what the graduation rate actually is for that school.
Completely agree. And we share a similar graduation rate. We're between that 20 to 25% as well. But I want to put this in the context of historically Black colleges and universities. You know, we aren't predominantly white institutions that cake themselves with college-ready students. You know, we are colleges and universities as HBCUs that are providing an opportunity to students that may not have hit their stride yet. And they're finding that as they come to our colleges. And so we're providing this opportunity that they otherwise would not have had. And so it may be a matter of us trying to help in that transition and understanding a little bit more of what that means to them for college and life. And so when you think about the outcomes that come with HBCUs and you see these graduation rates that don't necessarily fit, I guess, what is the traditional or standardized piece, you have to also understand where these students are coming from. And so we're providing much steeper upward mobility where, you know, we may be serving students from poverty, low income backgrounds, untapped populations that otherwise wouldn't have had any of these advantages to understand what college readiness is. And we are preparing them for life as they come through their 4 years, potentially 6 years with us as well. So always provide that context, of course, when it comes into our graduation rates. Our next question also comes as our first year students required to live on campus?
Yes, we do require our freshman students to live on campus unless you live within a 20 to 30 mile radius of campus, you are over the age of 21, you are married with children, and then we have a couple special circumstances if there are medical reasons why you can't live on campus and things of that nature. But typically, all freshman students are required to live on our campus. We do guarantee housing for our freshmen and sophomore students actually on campus.
Similar for Paul Quinn, it's preferred for our freshman students to live on campus, but you do have the option to live off campus in that context. And we certainly think it's a more robust experience if you live on campus your first years, freshman, sophomore years, and then you may make that transition outward, maybe to an apartment complex otherwise. But we certainly find it engaging and important for your development as you make that transition from your freshman and sophomore years into, let's say the work college program for us, if you were to work with a corporate partner thereafter, to understand a little bit more of work-life balance after. So certainly, it's a preference, but it's not a requirement for our freshmen. We had a couple more questions roll through here. The next one is, were students allowed to stay on campus when COVID struck? And how did you guys offer any help in the way of housing when that came into play?
So when the pandemic first hit, we did allow our students to stay on campus for about 2 weeks. And then after that, we as a university made the decision that it was safer for our students to be home and not be on campus. So we did dismiss our students and allow them to go home. Now with that, there were a few students, more so our international students, where borders had shut down and things of that nature. So we moved them off campus to provide cleanings and throughout our buildings. But what we did was we actually had to house about 8 of our international students in a local hotel until we were able to get them home or with family that were in the States safely. We did provide students with assistance with transportation home, buying flights, plane tickets, things of that nature to assist them with going home. We were actually received a donation from a local partner with laptops that we were able to provide for those students to be able to continue their studies at home. And with that, coming back this fall, we did allow students to stay home if they were not comfortable moving back in on campus and take their classes fully online for the semester.
Thank you. At Paul Quinn, we moved fairly quick. We tried to be as aggressive but understanding, given the pandemic unusualness, if that's the word. And so we certainly wanted to serve our students well. And that was President Sorrell's very first initiative, is that we are continuing to serve our students and campus community well. So for those students, we sent them back home only if being at home was something that was well in that context. And so if we had homeless students, or we had students who might have been on the fringes otherwise, in which it was not a safe environment, then that was something that we tried to ensure a bit more of a safety and some of the cautions that come with that in the way of housing and experiences that way. We also became a testing center during the pandemic. And so once or twice a week, we would host testing for the neighborhood and the Dallas community. And so that was something we wanted to ensure that our students who did stay on campus had that option available to them, but also that when they got home, or if we were to open back up for this upcoming fall, or this fall, I'm sorry, that ability was there for them. Now, mind you, for the fall, currently, we are completely virtual. And so we were able to move our way to ensuring that folks had hotspots and laptops and the engagement that they needed to continue on this side of things, in which they wouldn't have any concerns when it came to their education. And we tried to make that transition as smooth as possible. We had another question come in here. Would coming in undecided prove to be a bigger challenge than coming in with a major in mind? How would you advise that?
So I always advise students, if you don't know, it's totally okay. Most universities, your first 2 years, you're going to go in taking general education courses. So your math, your English, your science, things of that nature. You don't necessarily get into those major related courses until you've really gotten into your late semester of your sophomore year going into your junior year. So we have a lot of students who come in as undecided majors. We have a wonderful academic support services department who advises those students who are not quite sure where they want to be, or if there's two different majors that they're kind of going back and forth with. So no, it will not be a challenge. You will still be on the same track to graduate in 4 years. You would just have to, we do require you, going into the second semester of your sophomore year, you do have to have an idea of where you're going to go, because at that point you've run out of your gen ed classes and the only classes left to take would be major related classes. So we usually tell students, we give you about a year before we start to like kind of be on you and tell you like, hey, it's time to figure it out. Like, we got to figure it out. So we don't want to put any pressure on you. I always tell students my story. I wish I would have known that I didn't have to select a major. My mom was like, you gotta go to college and know what you want to major in. And I ended up changing my major 4 different times when I was in college, because I just didn't know. I was like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. And instead of me just saying, hey, I don't know, let me just finish out my gen ed courses and then figure out what I wanted to do, I kind of toyed around. And with that, I ended up having to stay an extra semester because I got kind of deep into a major. And then I decided, I was like, no, this is not what I wanted to do. So no, it is okay to be an undecided major, and don't let anyone discourage you and tell you that you have to have a major going into college, because it's not necessarily true that you have to have a major.
Yeah, Ashley's completely correct again. I just try to expound on the amazing wisdom that you share. And so it's much of the same at Paul Quinn. When you think about it, I think about myself, and I'm glad you shared your story, Ashley. I came in knowing that I wanted to do history. Like history, I'm a nerd, I'm gonna just stay a nerd. And so I'm just gonna keep going in that direction. But I added minors. So if you come in, you have a couple of different thoughts, or you have a couple of different interests, or hobbies, things you're good at. Maybe it's better as a minor, as a secondary interest, than what you want to focus in on. And so certainly you're going to work with academic advisors when you come in. Ashley and I, we are certainly great for some advisement and counsel, but academic advisors are going to be a much better resource. And we most definitely can connect you to those folks to ensure that you understand, what it would be a challenge, or if it is a challenge for you coming in maybe for a specific major, like a health-related major. It might be helpful that you go directly into that program. Or if it's related to, like a liberal arts major like myself, you could start in that major and then completely shift because it at least allows you a little bit of a baseline in that context as well. So it's just dependent on your experience, on what you kind of want in that first year, but undecided is not going to be a challenge unless it's something that you put that obstacle on yourself in that context. But otherwise, colleges like Shaw and Paul Quinn are going to be much more flexible with you to ensure that you get into the program and major of study that is going to be important for your future. All right. So that was the end of some of our questions that we had right quick here. But the couple of things I wanted to point out, Ashley, and I wanted to ask was, you talked a little bit more about your admissions process and some of your scholarships as well. Knowing with COVID, how has that impacted your admissions process?
So we made the decision kind of late in the semester. We have waived, or I shouldn't say waived, we've made test scores optional for our students where it's not a determining factor of whether you are admitted into the university or not. We understood that with the pandemic, some students were faced with some academic challenges, having to go home and take courses and not having that one-on-one attention. So we did reach out to our board, and we made a decision at the time that last semester, students that enrolled for this fall and students that are enrolling for next fall, we actually have a president's exception for students who may have not done so great and their GPA reflected that. We keep our GPA requirement, as you see, 2.0. Some people say it's really low, but that also goes into play that we're trying to make sure that our students, Black and brown students, are given the opportunity and not forced to go to a community college or feel like they have to go and work at their local factory or plant like their parents did. We want to afford them the opportunity to be able to come to college and get a collegiate experience that their peers would. But we did put into place a president's exception for students that may fall a little below our GPA requirement. It's all done on a case-by-case basis. There is a little extra step that those students have to take, but we wanted to be able to provide that resource to them because we've seen, especially like I said, within North Carolina, we're competing against 11 other HBCUs. So our pool, we're all kind of grabbing at the same student within North Carolina and outside because there's 107 of us. So we're all going for that same group and that same population of students. So we want to make sure that all students have the opportunity to be able to experience what their peers are experiencing. So we have made a couple of adjustments due to the pandemic. One of the big ones is becoming a test optional school.
Great, thank you. And so somewhat similar at Paul Quinn, we understand the gravity of COVID, and we also understand, the disparity that comes with standardized testing. We want to completely acknowledge that, those tests have a bias, and it's not necessarily in the favor of Black and brown or low income or students in that context. And so we are also test optional for this upcoming semester or application season. So for students who are applying for fall 2021, we are a test optional institution, and that means optional. So that does not mean you have to submit a score to us, so you have to risk your life to go to a testing center. Optional means optional. And so I want to spell that out as big as possible for you guys. When it comes into our admissions process, it might be a little bit different than Shaw or some other HBCUs because we have that work college component. So we do have, our application is still there, an official high school or college transcript. In that context, we do require one recommendation letter from someone who is not a relative. And then we ask for a resume. And so this resume comes into play, helping us to understand, skills that you've built, or family responsibilities that you have, or how your time is spent in your activities broadly. So it's not simply just your work that comes into play, but everything else as well. And like I mentioned, within this, we would also have an optional test, but we would also have an interview with you. And so our students will go through an interview session in that same tone as well.
Hey, I want to thank Sean and Ashley and Taylor for all of this amazing content. We've reached our time, but I do want to just remind our guests that you will get a quick survey. We'd love your feedback once you log out of the meeting. We encourage you to sign up for more sessions, and a recording of this session and all of our sessions offered in the next few weeks will be available at the IACAC website. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Great job, you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.